Hi everyone, this is Gina. Today I'm going to show you how to make a necklace, bracelet, and earring set with the newest treasure bags, lemon, lime, and mint, and roses and lavender. So of course this is the lavender set and this is the lemon, lime, and mint set. They turn out really cute. They're just kind of a little bobbly look. I will model this bracelet in the video. I make this one on video today and I designed this one previously. So there are a few of the treasure bags left. There's quite a few of the lemon, lime, and mint, and just a few of the lavender at this time that I am recording. So they won't last long because they're trickling out every day. But at this time I still have some, so if you want to check that out, you can at ggctreasures.com, and let's go ahead and look and see how to make this particular project. Okay, so this is the set we're going to make. It will have some cute little fish earrings and a bracelet and the necklace. So I made my design with the lemon, lime, and mint bag, and I'm going to show you how to make the design with the roses and lavender bag, though I'm going to show you what I used in both bags. So we have these 8x5 rondelles, and we're going to be using all of them. So you need your entire strand for this. Then we're going to be using the oval beads that are in your pack. So these are the golden frame oval beads, and I think they are I'll write the sizes in the description box beneath the video player so I can tell you exactly what size everything is. But in your bags you have a strand of these golden frame oval beads. We're going to be using them. So of course this is the mint bag and this is the lavender bag. Then you have a package of these little fish beads, and in the roses and lavender you have this little violet and pink color, and in the mint you have this mint color. Then we have these little bags of Seashell charms, and it's enameled alloy, golden tone, and in the roses and lavender you have this pink rose color, and in the mint bag you have white. We're going to be using all 6 of those. And also from the bag we're going to be using 2 spring ring clasps. Of course you can use whatever clasp you want, but those are in the bag, so that's what we're going to be using. Adding to the bag, we're going to add quite a few things. So let me rearrange the camera a little bit so you can see. And what we're going to be adding are, we're going to be using some 24 gauge wire, or actually this is 26 gauge wire. We're going to be using it. I'm using it in the golden tone because all the little components on this are golden tone. So I am using Wire Elements. It's 26 gauge and it's beadsmith. You can use any 26 gauge craft wire you have. That'll be fine. We're also going to be using a whole bunch of these little ball head pins, and as we get going here I'll tell you exactly how long they are, but we're going to be using quite a few of those, so you want to have a good amount. And I will again put in the information box beneath the video player all the details so you can get the exact numbers, and I'll also put the exact sizes of everything. So we're going to be using some ball head pins. I'm adding to the treasure bag these little 4mm round metal spacers. Now if you do not have any 4mm round metal spacers, I do have some synthetic hematite in the golden tone on my website in 4mm round, and that would work well too. Or you can try a 6/0 seed bead that's a golden tone, or whatever color you want. That will work just fine too. Then we're going to be using some bead caps. You can use any bead cap that fits around your beads well. I'm just having it go over the top of each bead. So you're going to need probably about 45 of them. So again, I'll put the exact numbers in the information box beneath the video player. We're also going to be using some of these little stopper crimps. I have them on the website if you want to get some. Otherwise, you will be using a regular crimp bead. These little stop crimps are round. They have a little plunger on the side, and we're going to be using them, and we're going to use quite a few of them. I think like 12 of them. So you may want to get a package of them. I have them in packs of 20 if you want those. If you do not, then use a regular crimp tube and a crimp tube cover. That will work just fine. 2 ear wires. I'm using them in a golden tone brass. And then you're going to need 2 8mm jump rings, 8 or 10. I think this is probably closer to a 10 here. And then you're going to need 2 4mm jump rings. And you're going to need some medium soft flex beading wire. You can use a finer wire if you would like. You can use whatever beading wire you have on hand, but this is what I am going to be using. And I believe that is it. So let's go ahead and get started on this project. Okay, so for this project, we are going to start by making the components we will need for each project. So we're going to make the bracelet first because the necklace is exactly the same thing, except for we add just a few more beads when we string it on the main focal part of the necklace. So we're going to start with the bracelet, and we're going to start with the components for the rondelles. We're going to be using these little ball head pins. This is cut at exactly 3/4 inch. You can cut down your head pins, or you can buy them this length, or you can buy them like 1 inch and cut them down too. So it doesn't matter. As long as it's 3/4 for this, we're going to slide our bead on, and we're just going to roll it down, because this works out really well with these little eye pins, and it also makes a little spacing for the bracelet. So I'm just holding on to the very end, and I'm going to start to turn. I'm turning as far as I possibly can. I'm taking my plier out. I'm turning it over, placing it back in, and then I'm just going to start to roll the wire. And I'm just going to make sure that the wire rolls next to itself. So you don't want to roll on top of it, you want to roll next to it, and stay in the same spot on your plier and just keep rolling. And roll until you have every bit of slack out of the bead on the wire here. No slack. You roll it down very tight on top of the bead like this. And you are going to make 22 of those. So go ahead and make 22, and we'll be back. Okay, so I have made my 22 components for my dangles here out of my rondelles, and now we're going to make our little fish dangles, and we're going to make it with 26 gauge wire. I'm going to back off simply because it's hard to stay in camera with wire. I'll get closer as we need to. And so we're going to cut about 7 inches of wire and 26 gauge. You're going to slide one of your little fish on the wire about 1.5 inches to 2 inches down on the one side of the wire here. Then we're going to take both the wires, and we're going to squeeze them over the top, or both ends of the wire, I guess, and squeeze them over the top of the fish so that it looks like this. And then we are going to grab a pair of pliers. I'm going to squeeze that a little bit better right up against the nose there. And I'm going to use a little pair of chain nose pliers, push my 2 wires together, hold on to them right above the little fish's nose here, just like this. Then I'm going to take the short wire, I'm going to push it over and just push it the same angle as my plier, so it's straight over and it's low down on the long wire. And then I'm just going to wrap that short wire twice or 3 times. Just like that. And this is what I have. And I'm going to get in a little closer here and back my camera out a little so you can actually see what I'm doing. Okay, so this is what I have so far. Now I'm going to cut this extra piece off very close, and then I'm going to use my pliers. This is a little crimping plier. I'm going to use one of the round areas on the crimp, and I'm just going to tuck that little wire in very gently. This is 26 gauge wire, so you can't get too carried away, you'll break it. So now that's tucked in, I am going to grab my round nose pliers, and I'm going to place my round nose pliers right at the very top of that little coil I made with the short wire. I'm just going to bring it straight around my plier like this. Then I'm just going to kind of lift my hand a little bit and make a tiny bit of space between the loop I just made and the coil before. And I'm talking not even a millimeter, just so that you have enough space to go directly underneath your plier. And then you're just going to start to coil your wire around the existing coil you made, and then down all the way to the tip of the little fish's nose. Now, we're coming out from the back here. I'm all the way to the little fish's nose. I'm going to take the long length of wire and go back through the hole. This is going to stabilize this wrap so the fish doesn't flop back and forth. So I've gone back through the hole like this. I'm going to pull the wire through gently. And if it stays a little poked up here, I'll just kind of push it down a little bit. And then I'm going to take this side and I'm going to bring it up, and I'm going to wrap it around the bottom of that previous wrap and then go up towards the top. And then I'm going to cut the wire very close, and then use my little crimping tool and tuck it in gently where the pokey is. Then I have to organize and fix the little loop, because the way we wrap the loop, it doesn't wrap perfectly, and we want to be holding our fish so that it's flat like this, and so we see the front of the fish very well and the shape of the fish, and turn your loop so that it is up and down, so it's the wire is towards you and not the hole. Then we're going to just bring it back just gently. Now remember, 26 gauge wire, be very gentle with it. And this is what you should end up with. And let me get you in real close so you can see it. So if I'm holding it sideways, you see the loop. If I'm holding it forward, you see just the wire. And that's how you're going to wrap your fish. And you're going to do that 4 times. So you want to make 4 little fishes. And then once you've done that, you're going to grab your little charms. And I forgot to tell you, we will need several. We'll need probably around 8 4mm jump rings. I wasn't thinking about our charms. We need to put each charm on a 4mm jump ring. So I'm just going to grab a jump ring and find the opening, place a plier on either side, open it by twisting it open, and then put one of my charms on it, and then close it. And because these are weird, I kind of squeeze it to make sure that they go together well, because they're not cut very evenly. But that is what you're going to do. You're going to put 6 jump rings on all 6 of your charms, 1 each, of course. You know what I mean. And then make 4 fish wraps, just like that. And we'll be back. Okay, so now I am ready to make my bracelet. This is what you should have for your bracelet. 4 of your wired fish, 22 wired rondelles, You'll only need 3 of your charms with the jump rings on it. Set the other 3 aside for the necklace, and 12 loose rondelles. Then you're going to need your clasp, one of your stopper crimps or a regular crimp bead, and a wire guardian. We're going to start by preparing the wire. So we are going to pick up our wire. I have cut 11 inches of my soft flex medium, and I'm going to get you in closer here. I'm going to take one end and put it through. Sorry, that finger doesn't work. And I tried to use it and I can't. So let's go up through one side here. And then draw enough through so that you can easily pass through the other side. Push about a 1/4 inch to a 1/2 inch through, and then hold onto your wire guardian and pull the long end into the wire guardian. So it looks like this. Now we're going to pick up our clasp, and through the loose loop we're going to put it onto the short end of the wire and slide it into the wire guardian. Then my wire guardian is wide open, so I'm going to push it together a little bit, just gently, and draw my wire in there better again. And this is what I have. Now I'm going to set it down. It may pop up like mine just did. We can rearrange it again. It doesn't stay well in there. But I need my other hand, so I am going to grab my stopper crimp or a regular crimp tube and draw this down. Put it in here, if it will go, and draw it down to my clasping. I'm going to arrange it to where my short little piece of beading wire is right next to the long piece, and slide this down and slide both pieces through the little crimp tube. So if you're using a regular crimp tube, just slide it down too, and then arrange everything nicely and crimp your crimp tube. With this one, I am going to grab a pair of crimping pliers or a crimp tool, and in this first divot, the one closest to the tip of the handle, I'm going to place the plunger on one side of it and the back of the bead on the other side, and I'm going to squeeze. And I'm going to do that again just to make sure, because I'm never quite sure. So I'm going to squeeze that again and make sure that it's crimped nice. Now if you are using a regular crimping bead, just crimp it like you normally would, and you can put a bead cover over it if you want, and you'll have basically the same effect as I do with my stopper. Now we're going to just put one of the long beading wire over your finger like that, so that the other one sticks out, and then get your flush cutters and cut pretty close to that, just like that, so that you have a nice prepared strand here. Then we're going to get ready to bead this. Okay, now we're going to string this. I have prepared my order of beads onto a piece of wire just so that I can transfer it over and not make any mistakes, so that you can copy what I'm doing. Now, this can be adjusted by adjusting the last 4 beads on either side. So if this is too long for you, that's where you're going to make your adjustments. You can put just 1, you can put just 2, you can put 3, whatever. But I'm going to start with 4. So I'm going to just transfer this over and call out what I'm doing so that you can follow along as I do this. I'm going to pick up one 4mm round bead, and I'm going to drop it down to my crimp. Then I'm going to pick up a bead cap and put it on, and then 4 of my rondelles. And these are my loose rondelles. Then I am going to pick up a bead cap and then a 4mm round, 2 rondelles on the loop. I'm going to kind of arrange them as I put them on so that they lay nicely, and I suggest you do that too because otherwise it won't lay very nicely. Then we're going to pick up another 4mm round, just cluster those up, then a fish, and just put your fish through the loop and bring it down, and then a 4mm round, then 3 rondelles on your loops. Oops. As I push them down, I'm going to kind of cluster them up. Then a 4mm round and a charm. Make sure your charm is headed towards you on the right side. So you want your enameled portion to be towards you. And then you're going to pick up a rondelle on the loop and put it next to your charm and just push it up and your charm down like this. Then a 4mm round, a bead cap, 2 loose rondelles, a bead cap, well, come here, bead cap, and then a 4mm round, and then 2 rondelles on the loops. Push them down, cluster one up and one down, pick up a 4mm round, then a fish, and then a 4mm round, and then we're going to do 3 rondelles on their loops, and just cluster those up pretty. Okay, then a 4mm round and a charm. Again, position it the proper direction. And then a 4mm round. Then we're going to pick up 3 of our rondelles on their loops. Now another 4mm round. And you can see how I'm clustering and arranging this so that my charms and fish are down and my rondelles are laying really pretty, kind of fanned out and clustered. Now I'm going to pick up a fish. So we did 3 rondelles, then we did a 4mm round, a fish, a 4mm round, 2 rondelles, a 4mm round, a bead cap, two rondelles, a bead cap, a 4mm round, a rondelle on its loop, push him up, then a charm, position that down, then a 4mm round, then three actually rondelles on their loops. So 3 rondelles, and cluster them. A 4mm round, and a fish. A 4mm round, 2 rondelles on their loops, one up, one down, and push that fish down. A 4mm round, and then you're going to do your bead cap and your 4 loose rondelles. And then a bead cap and a 4mm round. And that is what that looks like. So now gather together your crimp end, whether you're using a regular crimp tube or a bead or a crimp stopper bead, and a wire guardian, and you're going to need your 8 to 10mm jump ring. Okay, so let's finish off the end of the bracelet here. So I've dropped my little stopper crimp down on top of the 4mm bead here, and I'm going to be using a wire guardian. And I did notice that I had turned one of my bead caps backwards when I was making my bracelet. So if you notice that, don't turn it backwards. I had to take those beads off and turn it around. So make sure that they encase your beads correctly. Then we're going to put our wire through one end of the wire guardian, then put it through the other end of the wire guardian, and then I'm just going to scoot this up a little so I can get this wire through my crimp bead. And I'm going to bring it down through a couple beads. So probably I'll go all the way down through this rondelle here. I'm going to hold on to this stable side, so on your loop there will be a side that moves and the side that's stable. I'm going to pull the stable side. Then I'm going to rearrange my crimp bead and do it again until I can get it all down where I want it. Now my beads are separated, so I'm going to push them all down and pull on the stable side again. And then I'm going to push them down again and just keep working it until I can get it pretty close to the beads. And then I'll just keep adjusting it until I can draw this all together nice and tightly. So just keep pushing down the crimp bead, keep pulling on your wire, and with this little wire guardian I'm going to squeeze it together so that it actually allows me to push this all together. And I'm just going to keep working it until I can work it all down so that my beads do not have huge gaps in them. And it takes a little bit of work. And you can see I'm getting very close here. I still have just a little bit too much of a gap. So I will push those all down and pull it again. There. Now I am going to grab my flush cutters and cut this wire real short. Then to get rid of this gap here, push that little wire in. I am going to push down on my crimp tube, and there's going to be a little bit of a space between the wire guardian and the crimp bead, just like this, and then I am going to crimp this. Now I can adjust my wire guardian again. And there you have it. So now I'm going to just kind of get some flexibility in my wire here. And put on my jump ring. Using a little crimp tube, you'll still have to do basically the same thing to scoot it all together, because on the end that you're ending, it's just a little bit more difficult than the end where you're starting. So I put on my jump ring. This is too big of a jump ring. I think I'm going to go with the smaller jump ring because of the fact that that's going to give me way too much length. So I'm going to grab like a 6, maybe a 7mm jump ring, something like that. And put that on here. Then I can measure this. Now remember, this is a bulky bracelet, so your regular size is going to be too small. So you want to have it about 1/4 of an inch to 1/2 inch bigger than your regular size. So let me see what this measures. Yeah, this measures about 7 3/4, and I like mine to be about 7 1/2, somewhere around there, 7 1/4, 7 1/2. So I have given myself plenty of length. Now again, if you want to make it smaller, reduce the amount of beads you start with here. You could even, take a dangle or 2 out to start with too, just to make it a little smaller. I'm going to go ahead and put this on, and then we're going to get ready to do the necklace. And here it is. So I could use even a little bit smaller. This isn't bad, but I think I could use like a smaller lobster claw clasp, or I could go ahead and start with just 3 of my rondelles instead of 4. And that would probably bring it down 1/4 of an inch maybe, and it would fit a little bit less loose. I like my bracelets to have movement, but I don't like them to be traveling all over my arm. So I do like them a little bit tighter. But this looks really good. It turned out really cute. So I'm going to take this off, and we are going to get ready for the necklace. So what you're going to do again is you're going to make exactly the same amount of components that you made before. So you are going to make your 22 rondelles, your 4 fish, and then you have your 3 little charms here, and go ahead and get all that ready, and then we are going to start the necklace. Okay, so now for my necklace, I have made my 22 little loops. You're going to need 16 loose beads this time, and your 4 fish bead and your 3 charms. I am also going to make a pair of earrings, so I've actually made 6 fish. Now, when you're making these fish, don't be too particular about it. They're just a messy wrap, because as you're doing it, you'll find that they're kind of floppy and weird to make, and so just make a messy wrap. And then we're just going to go ahead and drop these on ear wires and have that part done. So I've got my ear wire. I'm just going to open the loop, and I am going to drop my fish on here. And for these, you do not want your loop to be sideways like I showed you before. You want it to be flat, so you can look through the loop as you're holding your little fish flat like this. And then you're going to drop it on your ear wire. Oh, Gina, geez Louise, clumsy, sorry. All right, we're gonna drop that on there. And then we're going to close it. Just twist it back. And now I have an earring. And we're going to do that, of course, with both. And we'll set those aside, and we will have our bracelet and our earrings made. And I have to adjust the loop on this one too, because I so carefully adjusted them for the bracelet and I didn't think about it. So again, I'm adjusting my loop, dropping it on, and closing the ear wire. There. Now I have my little fish earrings, and I'm going to put them aside. I've gone ahead and cut about 12 inches of wire, and I prepared it the same way I prepared my bracelet, except for I did not drop the clasp on. I've just put on the wire guardian and the stopper crimp and cut down the little excess, and then I'm going to begin by dropping a 4mm bead on, and then I will grab my bead cap, and this time instead of starting with 4 beads, we're going to start with 6. So we'll just put on our 6 loose beads. This will give it a little bit more coverage in the front for a necklace, and then we'll do the beading exactly the same way as the bracelet. So I've got 5. I'm going to put on 6, and then I'm going to put on my bead cap and my 4mm round, and then you can either reference your bracelet, or you can back up the video and watch exactly how we did the beading for the bracelet and do the exact same thing, except for on the end, instead of putting 4 beads on, you're going to put 6 on the very end part. So let's reference this. So instead of putting these 4 on this end, you're going to put on 6. So go ahead and bead your necklace exactly like you did your bracelet, and we'll be back. Finish it the same way too. Okay, so as you can see, I have made the front of my necklace exactly the same way I made my bracelet. And like I said, the only changes are the amount of beads you put here. Then we're going to move that aside, and we're going to make the back portion of the necklace like this. So you are going to need to have 24 of your oval beads. So these are the golden frame ovals, and we are going to use 24 of them. And we are going to use, for each side, we are going to use 2 of these rondelles. You should have about 5 left, so 4 to 5 left, and you're going to use 4 of them. So we're using this entire strand. And then you're going to need a couple of about 4 per side of your bead caps. So what we're going to do is you're going to cut about 9-10 inches of wire, and you're going to put on your wire guardian and your crimp bead, just like we've been doing. I don't want to do this a million times and have you watch me and make this video really long. So just set it up with a wire guardian and a crimp bead. And then you're going to start this strand by putting on a 4mm round bead and a bead cap, and then one of your rondelles and a bead cap, and then you're going to string on 12 of your oval beads, and I'll do that off camera. So you put on 12, and then you'll repeat on the other end the exact same thing. So after you have your 12 on, you put on a bead cap, a rondelle, and a bead cap, and a 4mm round. Then you will draw it all together with a wire guardian and a crimp bead, just like we did when we ended the bracelet. Do not add any clasping or anything. Just put on your wire guardian and your crimp bead. And you're going to make 2 of those. So I will be back as soon as I have made 2, and then we'll connect things together. Okay, so here's what I have now. I have 2 little strands that I've ended with wire guardians that are exactly the same. Now I'm going to take a 4mm jump ring, and I'm going to open it, and I'm going to put my clasping on, and then I'm going to attach it to the necklace. So I'm going to open this 4mm jump ring. I'm going to grab my wire guardian, put this on my wire guardian and my loop, or the loop of my clasp, and close it. Then I'm going to grab another 4mm jump ring and open it. And I'm going to attach the 2 wire guardians together with the 4mm jump ring. And do that again on the other side. So let me back up. You might not be able to see what I'm doing. This is pretty simple, but still it's annoying when I'm out of camera. So this time I'm going to open a big jump ring. That's still a little too big. I just think that's just too big. So let's try a little bit smaller one, about an 8mm jump ring. And let's put that on the end. Now you can make these strands longer, just add more of your oval beads because you do have more, so you can make these longer to make this necklace longer. I want this to lay right above the, or right on the collarbone. It's going to lay properly that way. This is more of a collar type necklace, not a long necklace. So you can make it just 16 inches and add an extender. That would fit most small people as a collar. You can make it 18 inches if you're a little bit bigger, and you just don't want to make it really long. So that's the way you will adjust that, is with the strands with the ovals. And I'm trying to get this jump ring. Alright, let me get another one because that one is all messed up. Alright, let's see if we can do this. Okay, now I'm going to move all this stuff, and I will show you the green one too, though I showed it in the beginning. And let me adjust something. I'll be right back and I'll show you the green one too. Okay, so here are both of them. Now, when I was straightening it out in the last clip, my crimp tube released, and I had to restring the entire front of this necklace. So my assessment of these stopper crimps is I like them. I like the way they look. I like the idea of them, but I have found in using them several times now, because they're new to me also, that sometimes the beading wire doesn't go through very well. I don't know if that's because I'm using medium size and it needs maybe a little finer size, or if, oh, there's a little cat hair, or if the little plunger thing isn't correct in all of them. Also, as it happened, it pulled loose, and I've had that happen before, having it slip out of the crimp stopper. So I think as I use them more and figure out exactly how I like them and how to use them, maybe it'll get easier. But at this point, I don't think they're all that easy. Everybody recommended that I try them and get some because they're so much easier. On some projects they are, on other projects they really are not, in my full assessment of them. And yes, I have them in the store, and yes, I want to sell them, but I want to give you an honest opinion of them. And I'm wondering if you guys will write in the comments below how you feel about them if you have used them. And again, it could be certain projects, it could be the way I'm using them, it could be my beading wire, I'm not sure. But it's took me a lot longer using them to make this project than it should have. So I'm curious how you guys feel about them. Anyway, this is what these look like. I think they turned out really cute, and I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.